At the time of the gatherings at the home of Laura Bragg, Josephine Pinckney was 24 years old, well-to-do, and a recent college dropout with no clear path forward for her life. Her father was a veteran of the Civil War, who was already 66 when she was born. It was his second marriage. Josephine Pinckney grew up here, 21 King Street, as an only child and always thought of this house as a place of loneliness and unhappiness. Her mother, Camilla Scott Pinckney, was domineering and highly critical. She controlled virtually all aspects of her daughter's life. In the early years of the Poetry Society, featured lecturers such as Harriet Monroe, John Crow Ransom, and Padraig Colum were overnight guests there. Immediately after the death of her mother, she purchased 36 Chalmers, renovated it, and happily lived out the rest of her life there. Pinckney was also active in and a champion of the Society for the Preservation of Spirituals, a whites-only group founded in 1922 to catalog and perform the rapidly disappearing sacred music traditions of the Sea Island Gullah population. The group traveled to low-country black churches to observe and transcribe singing and rhythm syncopations, noting variations in lyrics by area. During the 1920s and 30s, they gave performances throughout the Southeast, appearing as far north as New York City. They even gave a concert at the White House in 1934 at the invitation of Eleanor Roosevelt, who agreed to host it after she was assured that they never performed in blackface. Pinckney showed promise in poetry in the 1920s, but abandoned it altogether after publication of her only volume of poetry, See Drinking Cities, in 1927. She turned to writing fiction and eventually authored 5 novels. She hit her stride as a writer in the 1940s, culminating with her best-selling novel, 3 O'Clock Dinner. It was later optioned for movie rights and went into pre-production, but ultimately the movie was never made. Josephine Pinckney first battled breast cancer in 1949, but seemingly beat it with surgery. Cancer reappeared in 1956. By this time, she was working on the final edits of what would be her last book, Splendid in Ashes. After treatment, she was once again cleared of cancer, but the regimen of radiation therapy weakened her. During a fundraising tour in the Northeast to benefit the historic Charleston Foundation, a group she helped found, she developed pneumonia and died in New York City at Doctors Hospital. During the night of October 4th, 1957, she was 64. Josephine Pinckney's value to the Poetry Society is immeasurable. During the 1920s, she was an inconsistent contributor to the PSSC as a member of the board, but one of the most promising of the working poets of the group. It was only during the Great Depression that she rallied to be the Society's second savior. Like John Bennett before her, she was never the organization's elected president, but it was through her tireless research for lecturers, deft honorarium, negotiation skills, and voluminous correspondence that the Society survived the worst economic crisis the country has ever known.